All right, injury stuff from yesterday. K1, Stinger, checked out good today. Tart, Ruben, and Pierre all didn't play. We anticipate getting them back to practice next week when we start. Goodwin, no symptoms yesterday. Was rechecked in the morning, had no symptoms.
So everybody on your 53-man should practice when you guys resume next week.
We're anticipating to, yes.
Do you have any projects planned for this week to kind of take a deep dive on what's gone wrong?
Yeah, we look at everything. What's been good, what's been bad. I mean, you look at all personnel, you look at scheme stuff you do in the week too. So just gives you a little bit more time to do it.
In terms of the pass rush, I got like two questions. One, why not blitz a fifth defender more? And then two, why did Armstead and Thomas not play the last drive?
I would have liked to see them in there more on the last drive. They didn't get in there enough. We did do a number of five-man rushes in the game. Why don't you do more? When you did do more, just you're more susceptible in coverage. When you do four-man rushes, then you got seven guys in coverage. So it just changes what you do whether you're playing man or zone. You can call it a zone dog when you bring five, but you're still manning people in your zone. So it's no, you can drop a D in and call it zone, but if that tight end runs a corner, he still has a man-to-man. So that's the reason for that.
With Armstead and Thomas, when you say you would have liked to see them in more, is that something that you didn't realize during the game, or is that something they couldn't play?
That's something when it's all said and done, you want certain guys to get a certain amount of rushes. And that has to do with situations and personnel groupings and what down and distance they're in. And when it was all said and done, they didn't have enough opportunities, I thought, in nickel. And I'd like to see them have more.
It certainly implies that the four guys out there, when there's no threat of run, are considered the four best pass rushers. Is that the case?
Yes, but ours has changed week to week because we don't think we've had a set number one best four guys. I think Buck's the guy we've kept the most consistent. Our edge rushers have been the same, but they've been rotating throughout the year. But our inside guys, we've rotated pretty much between three guys after Buck.
Kyle, on the penalty on McGlinchey, they call the false start, I believe. It seemed like there was a lot of confusion. The ref moved the ball a bit. What was your view of that play? Did you get any sort of explanation on where that
They spotted the ball, and our guys lined up, and they were about to go, and then the guy moved the ball back 2 yards. And most of our guys saw it and moved back. McGlinchey was still looking at the DN, getting ready for the snap count, and didn't see it.
Were you guys double teaming Saquon Barkley when he was being used as a receiver?
You do sometimes. Depends on what the coverage is. I mean, you got to have the call. You can't just double time him every time he goes out on a route. You also don't know when he's going to go out a route. Sometimes they're in protection. Sometimes they're in scat, which means it's a five-man protection so the back can get out. But there's times that you do, yes.
How does this game rate as far as a number of plays you've submitted to the league for clarification?
I'm not sure. Someone else does that. I mean, it's up there. There's a bunch of them. But, I mean, all you do is get clarification, and they say they're sorry or they weren't sorry. So it doesn't really change anything.
Is the official supposed to notify? Like, is there something said when he moves the ball that way in that situation?
I don't know. I think usually they spot the ball in the right spot and don't change their mind right before the ball snaps. So I don't know if there's supposed to be a rule. I think you just got to do it right the first time. But yeah, if that's going to happen, I think there should be something. But you try to yell and get an answer in the heat of the battle while the time clock's going. Eventually, you got to call a play and move on with your life.
Have you had a discussion with Akello since speaking with us last night?
No, I had a discussion in the team meeting today. Brought up some number of stuff with the whole team, but haven't seen Akello one-on-one yet.
What did you say to the team?
A lot of stuff I don't want to go over with everyone. It was between me and the team.
Is there a general message that you sent them into the bye week with?
Yeah, just to sit there, and I want them to really, really reflect on the season so far and what they want coming back in these 6 games. You know, we got 6 games coming back, a lot of football to play, and a lot of important football to play. I want them to sit there and really think of what their goals are for the rest of the half. Do they want to solidify themselves as a starter, a backup? Do they want to be a part of it here? Do they want to be one of the answers or a solution to what we're going through? And really, when they think about all that and they understand it all and what they want, which I'm sure they all have high aspirations, I want their actions to come back and show that.
I mean, you want them to play kind of in pressure situations in 6 games that for you guys won't mean a whole lot in the standing, but is that kind of your goal to put pressure on him and see how these guys perform?
Yes, that's your goal, and these 6 games is your goal always. My goal is to get our guys to play the best they possibly can. Whoever's in our building, to get them to play the best they can. I believe that we can get more out of our guys. I believe that's up to myself. I believe it's up to coaches, and I believe it's up to the players. I think there's guys that are doing some good things, but even the guys who are doing the best, I still think there's even more. I think George Kittle's had a hell of a year. I think he can improve a lot more. I think Breed has done some good things. He can get better. I think Buck can get better. Sherm can get better. From all the top guys I'm mentioning to the bottom guys, we all can get better, and coaches included.
Before last night, Pettis hadn't played many snaps since coming back from his injury. Seemed a little up and down last night. Where is he in his development?
That was the first time we've really put him back in there and thought he was good, ready, or had enough practice, healthy practice, to give him those reps. So that was his first full week of a healthy practice. The week before, he got 2 straight practices in, but it was with all the walkthrough stuff for the Thursday night game. He got 3 good days in, or really 4 last week, because we had the bonus practice on Monday. And he earned himself a number of reps with it, and did a decent job. By no means was it perfect. Expect him to get a lot better as this goes, and he's another guy putting a lot of pressure on here the last 6 weeks that I want him to take some huge steps forward. But at least playing some, getting out of the game healthy, I think he finally has the opportunity to do that.
When you guys come back for practice next week, what are your plans for the quarterback situation? Is it going to be more of an open competition between CJ and Nick, or is one or the other going to be the guy right out the gate?
No, I mean, Nick Mullens is our starter until I say differently. It's going about it that way, and that's how it'll continue to be.
How would you assess Richard Sherman's performance to this point, and also what has his value been to your team, not just in what he's doing on the field, but for some of your younger guys?
I thought Richard had one of his best games last night. I thought it was probably his best game of the year. And then I don't think it was coincidence it followed his best week of practice of the year. I think Richard went through a big offseason of some big injuries he was overcoming. And he battled hard to get through those, and had a number of setbacks in training camp when he did have that made it hard to practice a bunch. And he got himself ready for week 1 and played. I know he had to miss a few weeks as those injuries crept back. And he played through a bunch of stuff these last few weeks. And the thing that's been great about Richard, just showing other guys and stuff how you can play through things when you're not 100%. And when you do, you got to still play at a high level that helps you win. And he's done that in a number of situations. And watching him get in the longer week after the Thursday night game, I didn't show up quite as much on Monday, but the Wednesday's practice, he moved differently. He seemed a lot healthier, and continued Thursday and Friday. And I thought it looked that way on Monday also. So hopefully this week will help him even more to continue to heal his body up. But he's played at a very good level for us, and I expect him to continue to get better.
There was some speculation when you guys signed him that he had this kind of skill set and the type of game that would defy age or injuries better than another type of corner. Is that something that you've seen through his play?
To a degree, I think people say that because Richard, he's very talented and things like that, but that's not what separates him from other people. Richard's game has a lot to do with what's upstairs. He's thinking a lot. He understands route combinations. It's hard to beat him on the same thing twice. You can get him once, but usually the second time it's a pick. That allows him to, I think he's in his 8th year. He's played 7 years, so by no means do I think he's at that stage yet where we're talking about him being old. But as he does get there and you start to lose a couple steps, which happens to everybody, the guys that have been successful because of more than just their ability are guys that usually can still play at a high quality even though their skills diminish. But I don't think he's there yet.
Do you view Mullens' performance last night as a step back or a positive experience for him?
I think it's a positive experience. This guy's played 1 game in his career. I know statistically that was the best start in NFL history, but I think Nick did some real good things yesterday too. It was a little bit more of a challenge in some circumstances. Had to play for 4 quarters. The Oakland game, it got out of hand pretty fast. Halfway through that third, it was a lot more relaxed. So here he had to do it beginning to end. Did some good things at the beginning, did some good things at the end, and had some plays at the beginning he missed and some plays at the end he missed. So what I liked about Nick is he never seemed rattled throughout the whole game. Continued playing. He was great after the game. He was great just watching the film with him. And I say it's a good experience or step forward because I think he'll get better from each experience he has.
Were there little things he did that the average football viewer wouldn't have seen or appreciated?
Yes, yeah. There was a number of plays where he got to different guys in his protection and his progression, avoided a number of sacks. There was one that I thought live that he should have got to a deeper guy from my view on the sidelines, and I got on him for it because I wanted a bigger pass. Thought it was there, he was open, and he just sits there and listens and takes it. Then I watched the film, and if he would have gone for what I wanted, I think it would have been a sack, and it would have been 2nd and 15. So that's stuff I like. He's got a feel for that in the pocket, and I always want to be aggressive and go down the field and have bigger plays, but not that expense of risking a sack, and I think he's done a good job with that.
Touchdown pass to Breida, it seemed that he went through a nice progression very quickly, at least to make it eye for me. Could you kind of take me back to that play, and where was Breida on his list of?
He was last, and so that was a hell of a job. We had everyone going to one side. We snapped the ball real fast, trying to confuse them. Everyone went one way, and that was the way he was looking. And fortunately, Breida flashed across his face, and he just felt it. It's not something you're thinking about much. It's just a feel, and he saw him flash, and he made the right decision because he was open and made a good throw, and Breida made a hell of a catch.
What did Breida do this offseason to become such a better receiver? I think he had a lot of drops last year, and I don't remember a single one this year.
He's worked on it a lot. Breida's worked on everything. Breida's. I just told our team the other day, and we have lots of guys who work hard. I think all of our guys work hard. But in terms of just taking it to a whole nother level, Breida and Kittle showed that the first day of OTAs. They were just pretty obsessive in everything they were doing, just every little detail of their game, and it's improved in a lot of areas. And Breida in the pass game, he wasn't our number one target last year. We used Carlos a lot out of the backfield, and he got most of those reps. And with Jet going down this year, it's given Breida more opportunities, and he worked a lot in this off season, so he could be ready for those opportunities.
Maybe too early to ask this, but could you envision having both Jet and Breida on the field at the same time?
I envisioned it this year, so that won't change next year.
You mentioned the message to the team over these last 6 games. What's your level of frustration, given that at this point that's the message you have to give compared to maybe the mindset you had going into the season?
It is what it is now. It's not. That's just what our circumstance is, and so I'm not sitting here just sitting frustrated with it. That's what's been presented, and that's what we're dealing with. We're going to make the best out of it. And my whole thing is that whether I don't think we're eliminated from the playoffs or not, but regardless, it doesn't matter. You're always playing for something, and this league does not have patience. I don't have patience. No one in this league has patience, and you shouldn't have to say that to players. And most of players who've been around, more veterans, understand that. But a lot of people don't understand that. And so sometimes you do have to educate people on that. And you tell them stories and stuff. But, whether it's a free agent, whether it's draft picks, I told our rookies, we had a lot of rookies finish the year last year on a real high note and gave us a lot of confidence in some of those guys coming into this year. And some of those guys got better or worse in week 1. And through this year, and some have gone the right direction, some haven't, and very well aware of that. And that's stuff I'll look into for these 6 games. Who's going to help lead us into next year? Who's going to help us finish us this year? There's lots of things that are very important to us, and we want to know, as I always say, who are we dealing with? We've been here for over a year now. It'll be 2 years when it's said and done at the end of the season. We'll have a much better idea of people, and nothing is more true than when you watch those in the final weeks of a season. And lots of guys stepped up at this time last year. I want to see the guys who do it again and the guys who don't, and see the guys who truly want to be a part of this. And I see better than I hear, and I'll always say that. And a lot of the guys say the right things. I see our guys work, and their actions show it. But we got a stretch ahead of us that there's a lot of football left, and I feel we're just getting started and finding out what our team is.
What strides would you like to see Mullens make down the stretch?
Continue to get better. He's played in 2 games. I thought he did some decent things last night. He's a good pocket passer, and so I wanted him to be perfect at it. He was pretty good on a number of his reads, and he had a touchdown get into the last guy in his progression. Had a couple big plays getting into number 2 and 3, but I want him to be automatic, and I know that's what he wants to do too, and we'll keep working at that till he is.
His arm strength has been scrutinized. On the first pick, was that an arm strength issue, or just he was late in getting rid of it?
It's different with everyone. If John Elway's late, he's got the arm strength to be late. you know. If you're not, you got to be a little bit on time. And Nick went to the right read on that. We tried to hit Kittle over the ball. Backer got under it. He took a second hitch, threw it to the comeback outside because Juice was taken away in the flat. It was the right read, maybe just a hair late. When you're a hair late, you got to put a little bit more on it, which I think he could have. He didn't. And when that happens, then you're late. So you got to make a better throw, or you got to decide to throw it away so we don't take a sack. And also a receiver can help him out with that. You know, it starts with Nick because the ball wasn't in the perfect spot. But Bourne's got the hand-eye and the ball skills to where he doesn't have to sit and wait on it either. He's got to put his foot back in the ground and go step through it and drive through it so you stop that pick six angle. So the quarterback wasn't perfect, and Bourne needed to have a hell of a play to save him.
What's the balance you're trying to strike there in that situation after you take the holding penalty and you're backed up? You know, some would say maybe run the ball, punt, and avoid a scenario like that. What's the balance you're trying to strike in your mind?
Just attack the defense and what they're doing. If I'd love to give you guys our game plan, but I promise you would have saw a nice run if you saw two really high safeties. All right, they had a hard man front. It was a premier play action throw to Kittle over the middle. Linebacker got under it, so you adjust. But you try to be inconsistent is what you want to do, just like defenses. If anybody who's consistent and does the same thing every time, I don't care whether it's good or bad, just tell us what they're doing and we'll have the right answer.
Good. Last one. The Packers, Arizona last night. I mean, to varying degrees, this was true. You had a defensive back get injured. The guy who replaced him got picked on, and you lost the game. Does it speak? Do you believe some of those guys in the secondary can be part of this, or is it just depth issues?
I mean, I think that's part of the whole NFL. Usually when someone gets hurt and someone comes in, it usually is a little bit of a fall off. It doesn't matter what team you're with. That's everyone. And if it's not, then you're in a pretty fortunate situation. But no, I do believe we have guys who can play. It also, I don't like when guys have to do it alone. You got to step up at other situations. You know, if you're down to your second or third quarterback, yeah, I want those guys to come in and carry us and play well. I also want other positions to step it up. If your corners go down in a game, yeah, I want them to come in and be able to cover very well in man coverage. I also want us to mix in some zones and have them cover in zone and then get there with the pass rush. So, you know, it'll always be the focal point will be on that new guy who comes in the game. But if you ever have a guy come off the bench who hasn't truly earned a starting role to whether he hasn't been good enough to do that or if he's just not quite ready because of his lack of experience, you want other people around him to step up and take the pressure off that guy. And I don't think we've done that in every facet either.
All right. Let's go.
All right, guys.